Hello everybody, this is Women's Grandmaster Sabina Foisor. Welcome back to Day-to-Day Chess. Yesterday I have shown you a game between the first world chess champion William Steinitz and Kurt von Bardeleben from the same tournament, Hastings 1895. I hope you enjoyed that amazing attacking game with a very beautiful tactics at the end, utilizing the fact that black remained with their king in the center for a really long time. If you haven't seen that video, make sure you check it out. Now I'm going back to the same tournament, this time choosing a game from the winner of the tournament, Henry Nelson Pillsbury. This game was played between him and Gunsberg Isidor. I think it's a very instructive game and I really hope you're going to enjoy it. Let's see how the game went. So we have the Slav so far. Here white has different possibilities. They can play knight c3, they can play e3, they can play bishop somewhere. In general, they play knight c3, e3, or knight f3. Pillsbury went for e3. g6. Now, it is not really the Slav anymore. I mean, it is a Slav with g6, and it's technically called here after knight f3, knight f6, the Schlechter system. So it's a mix basically between the Slav, the d5, c6, and the Grunfeld. If this pawn would have been in c7, this would have been the Grunfeld. But instead, the pawn is in c6, so this is what Schlechter was playing often, so it, of course, got his name. Let's continue and see how Pillsbury reacted to this system. Well, what to do? We have to finish our development. Bishop d3, a very natural move to get ready to castle. Black castle, and here white didn't castle immediately. In fact, he played a move that's part of actually the Pillsbury system, we call it nowadays, and because he kind of invented it and implemented it in many d4, d5 pawn structures, specifically in Queen's Gambit. But here he has implemented it as well, and the move that he played is knight e5. As my arrows already show, the plan for white in general after castling is to play and prepare an attack on the king side with f4, f5. So this is used in Queen's Gambit, this plan with white as well. And here black, this knight here in e5, by the way, I have to say is going to be very annoying because once white plays f4, you will never be able to trade it away. I mean, you will be able to, but I'll take with the f pawn, open up the f file, attacks, and again attacks. So chasing it away, of course, weakens this diagonal as well. If you move the knight, you have to move the knight and play f6. It takes too long. So black's idea will be to kind of get rid of it another way, and we're going to see it in a moment. First, taking in c4. This is very natural. Once the bishop has moved one time, we take in c4 to make it move again. And now we do not want to really let white with the center, so now this could move knight d5. I like this move because it keeps the pressure in the center somehow. It attracts white to play e4, which technically would bring to some Grunfeld type of positions where black is going to capture in c3 and then play some c5, open up that bishop. For those of you who play Grunfeld, I'm sure you're familiar with those ideas. For those who don't, know that those are some important ideas for black, opening up their g7 bishop on this diagonal. And here, of course, we don't want to let this knight, maybe black could capture in e5, and we have to take with the d pawn, destroying totally our majority on the king side. That's why Pillsbury went for his favorite move, probably f4, keeping that knight very nicely defended. And here black went bishop e6, finishing up the development, but not only finishing up the development, but possibly creating some threats here. Knight takes e3 is a threat in this position, winning a piece because this bishop is going to open, also the queen is attacked. So castle, for example, here for white would allow bishop takes e5. Of course, we have to weaken the piece that's defending c4 because directly it wouldn't work. And here, just to see that f takes e5 or d takes e5 would be losing immediately. For example, if f takes e5, simply knight takes c3 taking the queen and the bishop, and there's no way to get the piece back and also defend the other one. So here black is winning one piece. And if d takes e5, simply we have knight takes e3 once again, taking the bishop and the queen. You can trade the queens, but unfortunately it won't help you much, because after bishop takes e6 we have a very nice intermediate move, knight to e2 check, the king goes somewhere, and now knight takes e1, so we have two pieces. If this bishop goes anywhere, the knight simply comes back to d3 and black has a piece up. So neither of these captures work. That's why white in this position has to make an intermediate move himself, and that move is bishop takes d5. Now c takes d5, and after f takes e5, the position after knight c6 is probably about equal. Both players have remained with their bad bishop on the board. This bishop is a well protector, and it's going to take really a long time for white to actually develop anything to attack on g7, so this position will probably lead to some draw. So Pillsbury, I told you that he won the tournament ahead of Chigorin, Lasker, Tara, Steinitz, Schlechter, many top players in the world. So he probably, this was round 21. He definitely wanted to maintain his lead and win this tournament. So he didn't go for the normal lines that would lead to equality. In fact, the position still is equal, but he tried to play queen b3. Now, keeping some pressure in d5, defending his bishop not to allow those trades anymore and loss of material. So black played b5 here. It's quite natural, but now we are forced to give away our bishop pair and the good bishop. But not to worry, because black cannot capture with the c-pawn. b5 would be lost, so has to capture with the bishop. Knight takes, queens get traded off the board, and now white remained with this bad bishop technically, whereas black remained with his good bishop. But his good bishop doesn't do that much, so it's kind of tricky to really evaluate the position. Now, definitely, in my opinion, as the way I see it, is that we should not allow black give away his bishop on this knight. His bishop, no matter how good it is, if black can remain with a really good knight against this bad bishop, possibly posting his knight e4 maybe, or f5, then black would have really good position, possibly even winning. So that is the reason why Pillsbury just retreated his knight to d3. Knight d7, bishop d2, finishing the development, rook c8, natural, getting the control over the only open file in this position, king e2, e6. Now I don't know if I like this move. In fact, I don't really like it that much, because you see that when black played e6, he probably had in mind to bring this bishop in f8. And the entire idea is not very good, because you don't want to trade this bishop for this one. So instead of e6, I would have considered, I could consider here either knight f6 or maybe a5, not to allow white to play bishop b4, but e6 is just not that great of an idea in my opinion. Now, of course, Pillsbury goes for the trade of the material. Bishop f8 again, going for the line that I don't particularly like. I don't want to trade that bishop. Instead, knight f6 was still a better chance for black, or just a better choice in general. Okay, trading the rooks, rook c1. You don't want to give away the file, so you're going to trade again. Bishop takes. Okay, so we have this endgame. Pillsbury, in fact, is known for his attacks. Yet, we are going to see a really impressive endgame from his side in this game. Just because a player is famous for his attacks, or is really an attacking player, it doesn't mean that he cannot play really great positional chess and really great endgames. So don't make statements that are not right in general. Okay, so bishop d6 was played by Isidor Gunsberg. Bishop d2, the bishop comes back to bring to b4 and trade. And here in this position, black went king f8. Now bishop b4. And as you can see, my arrow already is pointing towards the threat of white. This bishop wants to go to c5. And you're going to see why that square is so amazing for this bishop. First of all, it wasn't doing anything, and already placing it in c5 is giving white a lot of play. But second of all, it's just going to be such an annoying piece that eventually black is going to trade, white will capture back with a pawn, and will remain with a linked passed pawn. So, what to do here? Should we play bishop takes b4? Should we play king e7? King e7 was played by Isidor Gunsberg, which was quite alright, but I really think letting white play bishop c5 is definitely not a good idea. So here you might as well, since you brought your bishop in d6, you might as well just have captured. And now the threat is knight c6, so we want to play knight b8. Stop that. You know, in Romanian we have an expression. The run is shameless or shameful, but it's healthy. So we're just going back for a second. It's just temporary, just to chase this knight away, just to bring our king closer to the center, and then this knight is going to get back on some better position, possibly coming towards e4 maybe, or who knows. But it's not shameful to play that move. Instead, Isidor went king e7, and now this amazing move bishop c5, which I'm so happy about, you know, the attacking a7, and here probably the only move that would have kept the game about equal would have been a5. The reason is, you know, you're not allowing b4 here for white, and you're just, if white is going to play a3 and then b4, well, at least one more pawn is going to be traded. Instead, Gunsberg went for a6, which is a mistake. And the reason is, well, now white just plays b4, strengthening his outpost here in c5. What to do? f6 was played by black. Now that there's nothing more to do on the queen side, the position is blocked, it's time to start playing on the king side and get more space advantage and possibly create some weaknesses. g4. And here black captured in c5. Possibly with the knight might have been a better choice, but not with this pawn. I'd probably capture back with the b pawn. And then if bishop c7, white would probably still go h4. But maybe there were some chances for black to hold on to this position after a5. But Gunsberg captured with the bishop. And now we have this knight endgame where white is so much better. This knight is coming to b4, at least that is the threat. And some other threats that you're going to see in a moment. Knight b8, coming to c6, of course. And here, this was actually a blunder, this knight b8. Instead, f5 probably should have been played to kind of stop any play on the king side, but it's not natural to make this move, you know, giving away the e5 square. Why would we? And why is knight b8 a blunder? Well, because of this great super two exclamation points move by Pillsbury, f5. And what's going on here? Well, g5. If you're capturing with whichever pawn, let's say with the g pawn, well, I'm going to capture back. And then, of course, if you capture a second time, my idea of playing f5 is to liberate the f4 square. So my knight is going to come to f4. You will be losing d5 pawn, and then I'll have two linked pawns that are going to help me win the game. And my king is in the square of these pawns, so there's nothing to worry about there. That's why Gunsberg played g5 to control f4, not allow the knight to come. But don't worry, I have the other side as well. Now that I'm attacking the base of this chain, I'm going to put pressure in d5. a5, and here another super amazing move by white, c6. And the thing is, you cannot take the knight, because if you do, I'm going to play c7, and if you play king d7, I'm going to take your knight, of course. Super easy. So, and if you move your knight, of course, I'm going to promote. So you cannot take in b4. Black has to play king d6, and now f takes e6, going with two pawns towards queen. Knight takes c6, knight takes, king takes. And now you might think that black is winning, but no, I have this impressive move. e4, creating two linked pawns here. You have to take d5 check, king comes, and my king is in the square of these pawns. There's nothing to worry about. Black tried on the other side, but simply I can take, and now I have this pawn and this pawn. You cannot stop both of them. And after h7, black resigned. I really hope you enjoyed this game. Stay tuned for more tomorrow. Bye!